Hey, buddy. Yeah, it's yeah, we are. I'm just seeing if we came up on. Okay. Hey, here we are. Nice to see you.
You too.
Thank you. So, um, just to kind of bring people up to speed a little bit, we're the purpose of sharing and spending some time together doing this interview is to just to see what you've been up to, and my whole hope is that our conversation might lift folks up a little bit, a little bit of a bird's eye view into your life this last year and how it's been and kind of what's next. Hang on a second. Oh, there we go. A little bit of a bird's eye. I had too many things on. So I'm not the tech whiz, eh? But so tell us about Nathaniel, and just for everybody's info, Nate and I share a space together. We're roommates, and we're not a couple though.
Yeah, make that clear.
Make that clear, yeah. And it would be okay if we were, but anyway, the I know that Nate's been through lots of ups and downs this last year, and lots of, like all of us, lots of challenges, and so how you doing?
I'm doing I guess I'm doing all right. I don't like the COVID isolation stuff. I don't like the rules of not being able to go out and party and go to restaurants or go skating or go to the gyms and go to swimming and all the restrictions that come along with this lockdown. Not a big fan of that, but I managed to fill my entertainment time just at home here. Just I can't get out to the gyms. I can't really exercise that way, but I can do calisthenic exercises at home and do yoga and kind of try to take care of myself that way. So it's been good, and I guess it's been good that I haven't had so much freedom to run around as much as I normally would, because it kept me grounded at home. It gave me more opportunity to meditate and finish reading my books and work on myself, my personal development, and kind of take a look at my life and see what's important to me. What's important to Nate. So I guess part of what happened early this year, I got laid off right around the summertime. I've been back in June. It's about 6 months ago. Got laid off of work, and yeah, it was kind of interesting how that went, because first there was 2 weeks of isolation time that I had to do back in March. This was before I got laid off. Had to do the 2 weeks lockdown because I had a bit of a cold. And so during that 2 weeks, it was great. It was perfect because I really felt like I needed a break from work anyways, because I had been working for about a year straight in construction, and I was already feeling like I needed a break. So that 2 weeks was awesome to me. I was like, yes, I get 2 weeks paid. I'm going to do nothing except for meditate and pray and journal and write and finish reading this book. And the book that I've been reading is called The Laws of Human Nature. As to get into, it's kind of a psychology book. It talks about like shadow work stuff. So I'm kind of interested in Jungian psychology. So I was reading that book, and there was a couple of parts in there where they talk about looking around inside of ourselves for like repressed areas of our character, and it talks about looking and looking into our subconscious and looking for things that were repressed. So I had 2 weeks of lockdown time to do some of that kind of shadow work development. I like to call it shadow work. And so I started doing that. Yeah, it was just for those 2 weeks, I was pretty quiet. I was just reading and journaling a lot. I wound up digging up an old part of myself, kind of, I remember just kind of snapped up out of sleep one day with just the urge to draw some pictures and stuff. So I think I dug up that little repressed artist that was inside of me.
Oh yeah, is that really where you started?
Yeah, that's when it came to me.
Wow, because yeah, like you are actually a really good artist, And
I like that. I like that Muji on the wall behind you there.
there
I
he
may
is.
have drawn that. Yeah,
Yeah, that one, and that's the
yeah.
Maharaja.
Not so proud of the ones on the black paper, but I like the Muji one.
Muji's yours. Yeah, it is. Beautiful. Um, so what
So
else came?
you got more questions?
Well, a whole bunch have come out of that. I mean, you well, you probably knew all this before, but you also really got into your music. Uh, I think that would you consider that a win this last year that, art came out, as far as the paintings and the sketches and all that kind of stuff, but also you've been doing some music. Have you been writing music?
I haven't been writing. Well, I just go out there and kind of play by ear on the piano.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a few things up that I thought sounded kind of nice and just kind of practiced them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in that way, like I haven't written any music, so I don't know how to write music.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing that piano quite a bit. It's been fun.
Mm-hmm.
Little songs that I like.
So um you basically didn't get to go back to work, did you?
No, no,
No.
I didn't even try to go back to work, honestly. When I got laid off, I was on EI for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
just
and
I just lost interest, like complete interest in going back to working in construction. You know, like after the first 2 weeks of lockdown, I did go back to work before I got laid off, and the
Mhm.
guys at work were they're looking at my ability to draw stuff. They're like, "Why do you even work here? Like, what are you doing?" You know, so they encouraged me to go and see if I could make a living at that some other way. Right?
Mhm.
And now I've got an opportunity to build, I don't know, build a website and find some avenue to generate income off that stuff, and work my way into the community somehow, some way. So I've been
Doing
praying a lot,
portraits, eh?
trying to figure out a path forward with that.
You've been doing portraits, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of portraits. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's kind of growing and morphing for me too, right? Like,
Yeah.
I like I think I have a few different ideas for where I might take it, but I think one of the things that I would like to achieve with any paintings or artwork that I might want to stamp and call my own would be, really to encourage people to look inside themselves, to meditate and get in touch with themselves, to find their purpose in life, to find that even that sense of peace inside of ourselves. That's a super important thing for me, like, being able to meditate and pray and as you would put it, come into the moment, be in contact with the moment. I describe it as like, sometimes I'll call it my inner peace. Sometimes I'll call it the kingdom of heaven that's inside of us all. You know.
Mhm. Our little ashram up on Signal Hill here.
Yeah.
But we've had quite a few people come and go, haven't we? That have been struggling and trying to find their way, and we have a couple of extra rooms, and just it's great to see who the universe is going to send us. Uh,
Mhm.
you know, and um,
There's been
yeah,
some interesting characters come through.
there has been some interesting characters for sure. So, um, when this is over, if it's ever over, I mean, there's no such thing, I guess, as over, but you're just, there's probably no way you're going to go back to construction.
Well, I mean, if I have to make a living, I've definitely got that skill set. I can always fall back on my trade, right?
Yes. So
Yeah,
you're an
there's
electrician.
I'm an electrician. Yeah.
You have you have electrician abilities. You're actually not an electrician. You're, Nathaniel. Well, you're not even Nathaniel. Who are you?
Yeah.
The big question. Who am I? That we all, kind of struggle. What do you think's been the biggest thing this last year? Big epiphanies, you know, you had any awarenesses around relationships or um,
Oh yeah, yeah. I did wind up. I started dating a lady shortly after I was. It was about 6 months ago.
you're the only
So
person I know that met somebody during COVID.
yeah, that was interesting. That's a challenge for me. Again, when I talk about shadow work, like Jungian psychology, he describes it as our animus. So it's it's almost like a different person comes out of me when I get into a relationship. Just go right friggin' nuts. I get right. I start thinking about my partner too much, and so, anyways, I've could definitely come to a few realizations around my relationships, the way that I am in relationships. So, I've asked my girlfriend to be patient with me. I've tried to take taking responsibility for myself, and because it's difficult for me to stay on track and focused on what I want to do with my art, with my website, with my art stuff, when I'm always thinking about my girlfriend, right? So I definitely I'm putting into practice some mindfulness practices, and some prayer, and definitely praying for the ability to keep my mind focused where it needs to be. Instead of overthinking relationship things, I need to focus on what I feel like is my purpose, and what I'm doing. I don't want to lose track of my purpose by getting absorbed in the relationships.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It balance, eh? Is it's not easy. We're a bit obsessive sometimes. I mean, I'm saying me, but maybe you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not the only person that gets that way.
Oh no, for sure. Well, as you know, yeah, I feel pretty grateful that um, that I mean, a lot of times in my life, I was in a relationship because I didn't want to be alone, and or I thought I needed to be, and it's really nice to have gotten to a place of not needing that for me personally. It's like, oh, there's a whole freedom that's come, and which may actually allow for me to be more in somebody's life in a different way, so, but yeah, it's nice to have that freedom, but um, you lots to learn in that area. What a great arena for learning, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, life's pretty easy when it's just me. It's a little bit lonely sometimes. I wouldn't mind cuddling and so on and so forth, but
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
it's
you've
pretty
got
easy.
lots of cuddling this winter or this last few months. So, in fact, so uh, what do you think's coming up this year? What do you see coming next? I mean, I think a lot of us must be wondering, what is next? And,
Mhm.
and because at one time we thought work was the most important thing, and then relationship was the most important thing, and then kind of COVID has changed a lot of that. I think, and we've many of us have had to look inside. You know.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, I think the most important thing that I can do with my life, whatever limited time I have left on this earth, is to just encourage people, to to seek, uh, to seek that inner peace inside themselves. That kingdom of heaven that's inside themselves. To realize that we can give ourselves, satisfaction and happiness, where we stand as we stand here. There's no place to look for happiness except for right inside of ourselves, right in this moment. And that to me is a super important realization that I came to. Uh, I kind of walked around in a bit of a haze. I've heard people describe it as a satori experience. You know, I just walk around dazed, just looking at the beauty of everything around me. And to me, that was a very powerful experience, right? And I realized that I'm in charge of my own happiness right now in this moment. So I'd like to pass it on to people, you know, as and I just like to share that message with people. That's all there is to it. And it seems like a purpose for me to do that.
Uh-huh.
So moving forward in the future, it's going to be part of what I do with my artwork, in my website, and in my communications with people.
Hmm.
I'm going to try to also, well, I'm not going to try. It's my mission to, to help other artists sell their art as well.
Okay.
So I intend to collaborate with some other visual artists on
Hmm.
my website, which I'm going to be promoting and stuff. I'm going to offer a space for other guys and girls, other people
Yes.
to post their work as well, so that can be for sale through my website,
Hmm.
and just try to collaborate with other artists. You know,
Hmm.
that's how that's going to go. I'm just going to make big a big art website and work on my blog and share my message with people through my blog and videos that I'm going to make, and
Hmm.
I'm going to move on that way. See if I can branch off into maybe teaching a little bit of art classes, drawing classes or something. You know,
You
that
could
might
do
come up
that
in the
for sure.
future.
So at one time in your life, you did have some art training.
Yeah, I did for sure. Yeah, I mean, I've read about a billion books. I went to an art school briefly, and I didn't make it the whole way through though, because we read. I'm from a poor family, right? We didn't have the money for that.
Hmm.
So I basically learned through books and videos and a ton of practice. And
Hmm.
guess I'm a self-taught artist.
Yeah. Well, you have talent. You
You
know, art is kind of like that, isn't it? I mean, I guess it could be a science, but it seems like it's more like an art.
know? Yeah, it's just something that I practiced a lot. Like I say, I read quite a few books about it and
Yes.
practiced it when I was a kid. And just that's all I did. Right.
Nice. So tell us where you're from.
I'm from Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia.
Yeah, I would say I'm from Halifax because that's where I was born.
Yes.
Born in Halifax, and then was raised over on the Dartmouth side of the Halifax Bridge.
Yes.
Was raised over there for a few years, and then my mom took us off into the woods and into the more rural areas of Nova Scotia. So we lived in quite a few different rural communities and small towns around Nova Scotia
Okay.
until I was about 12 years old. When I was about 12, we moved back. I guess, yeah, it would be about 12. We moved back into the city in Dartmouth. Yeah, I got myself in a whole bunch of trouble, lots and lots and lots of trouble back there. And then I was about 17. We moved to another small town outside of the city. I went to high school back there in Liverpool down on the South Shore. Stayed there for a few years, got in some more trouble. I went back to the city in Halifax, went to college there at Nova Scotia Community College, and decided I was going to become a construction electrician, because that's just a trade that I can always fall back on if other things don't work out for me. Right?
Hmm.
And I came out to Calgary in my 20s. I moved out here, decided to straighten up my life. I was getting in a lot of trouble, right? So I came out here to kind of stay out of trouble and become an electrician.
We have that in common. Not the electrician part, but I was getting in a lot of trouble in the Maritimes. Very
Yeah,
much we have that in common.
I was a bad little kid. I came out
You,
here.
you weren't a bad kid. You did some bad shit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just got in trouble. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. I
So it was
remember.
good. I came out here and I basically stayed out of trouble once I got out here.
Yeah.
You know, started on a bit more of a spiritual path. It's like went and got baptized and started messing around with a bunch of different forms of spirituality. Just kind of really started exploring spirituality more in my 20s. Right.
So uh, Christianity as well as Islam.
Yeah,
Uh,
is Islam and some Eastern stuff too.
yeah. And Christianity. So you got a mixed bag of resources there.
Yeah, yeah. I've got. It's funny. Like on my like upstairs, I've got the Bible. I've got the other Bible, which is a collection of Gnostic Christian texts and old Jewish texts and the Kabbalah. And I've been through the Quran, been through On my phone, I've got the Tao Te Ching, which I read all the time. I've got the Bhagavad Gita. You recommended the Bhagavad Gita to me. That was kind of a cool book. I like it.
Yes, very
I
cool.
got the
And you,
Dhammapada on my phone. I read the Dhammapada, so I'm all over the place with it.
and you got the big book.
I got the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. That was the most useful one, honestly. I
Yeah.
think those 12 steps were hugely helpful in me actually becoming spiritually awoken. Coming to peace and terms with all that confusion, right? So I always say, like, searching through those books was not a good place to find my spirit. But looking inside of myself was a good place to find my spirit.
Hmm. A lot of the teachings actually point us in that direction, don't they? You know, um, certainly the 12 steps point us in that direction. Deep down inside every man, woman, and child is a fundamental idea of God. You know, old Bill Wilson, he had such a wordsmith. He really nailed it. And uh, yeah, but I also, looked in a lot of, I turned over a lot of rocks and looked under, a lot of places for my relationship with God, and of course, when I stopped looking and went inside, boom,
There it was. There was that happiness I was looking for the whole time.
boom, boom, there it was. What
Just
do you
had to
do?
clear away some of the anger and frustration and all the fear and stuff.
Well, you know, and the whole idea of be here now, you know, because it took so long for me to get what that meant. Be here now. And I'd be like, well, what do you mean? Aren't I? No, because my mind was so full of worry and judgment and anger and fear, and, and wanting, and, and that I was not ever present.
Mhm.
And, it took, I think I took the long road. Took the long road. But yeah, I was chatting with a guy today. I told you I've got a new sponsee, and he's in his 50s, and said, wow, it felt like was taking him a long time. And I said, look, if we awaken any time in this lifetime, it's not a long time. Anytime's, a good time. And it doesn't matter how long it takes us to find the answer, you know, but your experience, I mean, you really have been on the path for a long time, in a way, not it didn't just start a couple of years ago. You were,
No, for sure.
and it's cool. You have a lot to share with other people in that area, and you're doing it,
Yeah,
which is
I'm
really,
enjoying it too. It's a good experience, man.
yeah. Right on. So have you had any, like, casual advice for the world, sitting where we are, the middle of January 2021, the middle of COVID, uh, what, the beginning of what could be a bit of a tough financial time for the world. I mean, where we are, what would you say to people?
Don't worry about it. You know,
Don't worry, be happy.
there's so much concern these days about the conspiracy behind COVID-19 and how they're trying to make this one world government. You know,
All
it's
that
the
stuff.
worst thing in the world for it to happen. And it's the work of the devil. You let go of that stuff, really. You know, what if they're making a one world government? What if that is it? Who cares? Maybe it's a good thing. And there's nothing that any of us can do to change it anyways. So I don't know. Personally, I just choose not to get upset about it. You know, what if everything's perfect, just the way that it is? You know? I think around COVID, the whole being isolated thing. I think there's a huge lesson to learn about the importance of community, people, and human interaction.
Yes.
So maybe it's not the case for everybody, but I choose to believe that for most people, community and interaction in person with somebody is a very important piece of life. You know, um, whereas like personally being alone with no pet, not being able to see anybody, locked and isolated in a room is it's not a very healthy place to be. I started getting real itchy bitchy and twitchy, right? I always craved having people around, and I think that we all need community and human interaction. So that's a big piece to be learned. Another piece of that too is, in not being able to interact with people, not being able to come together with people, I started thinking about, what are other ways that I can show my love for people, other ways that I can express love, instead of hugs and, yeah, hugs and physical contact. I'm always been a physical kind of person, but what are other ways that I can express love, other love languages that I can speak to people, send people gifts, you know, use words of affirmation, talk to them, tell them that they're doing good, encourage them.
Just call them up.
Just call them, pick up the phone, let them know that I'm thinking about them.
Yeah.
There's a couple of guys that have called over a little while that just by me calling them, when they pick up the phone, they just clearly are very happy and really appreciate having somebody reach out and call them to think about them.
Yeah.
I think that as a community, that's something that we should definitely be doing.
Yeah. I think love is an action word.
Mhm.
It's a verb, and it, it in expressing it, um, I think is amazing. So good for you. I know you do that. You're on the phone, uh, talking to people, a lot, which is great. Lots of new guys that are trying to find their way, and you do that a lot. So that's great. I mean, love is the answer. Wow, that could be a title for a song. Um, anyway, all the love languages. Well, good for you. I, I, I agree, and I can't wait till we can start having people over for dinners again. I'm visualizing big barbecues on the backyard, baby. We're, you know, there's barbecue season's coming, and we're gonna have folks over, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Right on. Well, thank you for kind of short notice we to just do this and to kind of be vulnerable and share with people what's happening in your life, and I appreciate your ability to do that, and hopefully just us being here today lifts some people up a little bit. you know
Yeah,
yeah,
I sure hope so. It is a little bit awkward being in the public eye, you know. But,
well,
no fear, man. No
I
fear.
think you do it well.
Yeah.
So thanks for this, and yeah, just I can't wait to see what the next 6 months, how it all unfolds, and because good stuff seems to be coming your way.
Mm,
And
yeah. You know, just pray and focus. Keep on keeping on, and it'll be okay.
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, my friend, thank you.
Okay, thank you, David.
Yeah.